Okay, well, let's talk to Peter Mathews. He's a political analyst and commentator, and he's in Los Angeles. Peter, thanks so much for joining us this morning. So was this expected, this jail term?
Yes and no. I mean, mostly it was expected, I would say, because the Southern District of New York attorneys wanted 4 years, actually, of jail time, whereas Mr. Mueller wanted probably not to give him any jail time because he cooperated with Mr. Mueller. He did not cooperate as much with the Southern District of New York attorneys. Two different cases going on here, and they're both very serious, and he's going to get 3 years in the end.
Now, he is the first member of Mr. Trump's inner circle to be jailed. I mean, how significant is that?
It's very significant. Once the first domino falls, there may be many others that do. And he's also put President Trump in legal jeopardy by saying that President Trump directed him to make those payments to Stormy Daniels of $150,000, which is an illegal campaign contribution. He also arranged for the American Media Incorporated Company, which owns the National Enquirer, to go ahead and buy or catch and kill a story by Miss McDougal, a former Playboy, I think, Playmate, who Trump allegedly had an affair with, according to her, to keep her quiet during the election. Both women were kept quiet with hush money, according to Mr. Cohen's charges of Mr. Trump. He says the president directed him to do it. So if the president did direct him to do it, that is a very serious charge of the president being involved in a felony as well, possibly.
Well, what does that mean for the president?
It means that the president could stand indictment. He might stand for indictment after he leaves office. He could be still, it's legally possible. There's enough evidence against him. He could be indicted by a grand jury after he leaves office and then tried and convicted. On the other hand, he could have possibly even be impeached at this time by the House of Representatives, which actually is dominated by Democrats in the majority now after the election. They are itching to impeach the president, put him on trial in the Senate, and hopefully they are hoping that the Senate will be able to convict him if some of the Republicans, about 20 Republicans, will change their minds and look at some of the egregious evidence coming up against the president's actions, as the judges have said. So this is very, very important to note what could happen to him right now. And it could really hamstring, at the very least, it's going to make him very difficult for him to carry out the next 2 years of his presidency.
Well, is this any different? Because there has always been this talk of impeachment ever since he came to office.
There has, but there's never been this kind of concrete evidence, even though circumstantial. It's still concrete enough because one of his closest people, Mr. Cohen, who'd been with him for a couple of decades at least, and knows the ins and outs of his operation, Trump's operation, Trump Organization's operation, spoke to the prosecutors very deeply, very extensively, and no telling what information they already have. And this case is not ended yet. And I'm sure that Mr. Mueller will go further up the chain and to look even more carefully right now at what the president might have known, or not only with this aspect of paying off these two people, these two women, but also the allegations of collusion, or actually what we call conspiracy, with possible Russian interests in Russian government or private people to get his campaign elected. That's a very serious charge as well. And there was some lying going on with Mr. Cohen, as you know. Cohen admitted to lying about when Mr. Trump knew about the negotiations and business negotiating with Moscow 6 months later than what he said he did. So that's something that the president apparently says not told the truth about either. It's very serious.
Peter, how has the president reacted?
It's very funny because, not funny enough for him, but it's very amazing that he would say right offhand when these decisions came down, oh, don't worry, that's only a light, that's nothing to do with me, it's this or that. It's, he's always trying to slough it off like any kind of negative ruling against him for the last several months. He makes it look like it's just a lighthearted thing that is not really affecting him at all when it really is. So it's almost like he's in denial of reality, and we wonder about that. Where is his awareness of what's really going on with him in his particular presidency, especially with legal.
Mr. Cohen didn't cooperate as much as Mike Flynn did he?
Mike Flynn cooperated a lot more, I'm pretty sure, and there comes another revelation or two that'll come out of that. But Cohen cooperated more with Mueller, but not as much as with the Southern District of New York attorneys, apparently, or prosecutors, I'm saying. So we'll have to see the details of it, but you do have the first person in the president's circle to actually be put in jail in the inner circle, and this is the beginning. And no telling what's
received.
Sorry?
How's it being received in the U.S.?
Oh, it's being received with quite a bit of shock, and I think many people already thought it could happen, but they didn't realize it would happen so quickly, and that it would actually come so close to the president this soon. And now he's facing a Democratic-led Congress, House at least, that represents the lower house, which has the power of impeachment. He's facing them in about 3 or 4 weeks. and it'll remain to be seen what will that do to his presidency and be able to accomplish anything at all. It's hard enough to accomplish something when you have one house in the opposite party's hands. But on top of that, to face these charges, these allegations, and these investigations, it really can make him a lame duck president early on. So we'll have to wait and see how it actually plays out.
Okay, Peter Mathews, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care.